A while back, some folks were asking me to do another tutorial on HDR photography, so I thought I would take this opportunity to show you a different twist on it. I'm homesick right now, and I've got enough cough medicine in me that this may actually be entertaining. Let's start with the image that we're going to do. This is the before and the after image, and I'm going to make them bigger here, full screen. Okay, this is the before image on your left, and this is the after image on your right. Same photograph, just one's post-production. These were shot with a Nikon D90, which has a medium-sized sensor, and it's a kind of a cool camera. It's not Nikon's top of the line, it's not their bottom of the line, but it's a camera that introduces some influence on images when you manipulate them the way we're getting ready to. Okay, so let's investigate how we get from point A to point B. If I do any keystrokes on the computer, they'll show up right here. Okay, let's close out of that. I'm going to go to Photoshop CS5. This will work in CS4, 3, 2, whatever you have there. Let me close out iPhoto. Okay. I'm going to open up the image that I shot. There it is. And this is the raw exposure here. And let me get it right to where it was, because this is the exposure slider I'm monkeying with. Okay, right at 0. This is what the camera saw when I took the picture. One exposure. Now, this is the raw dialog. This is the raw dialog box in Photoshop CS5. I'm going to save this image as a DNG, and I'm going to name it A, and it's going to go to the folder that I'm working in. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my exposure slider and slide it down almost 2 stops, not quite. Let me go about 185, and I'm going to save that exposure, and I'll save that as B, and then let me get the third exposure. I'm going to go all the way past the normal exposure and go to about, I don't know, just till it looks bright, real bright, about 1.6. And I'm going to save that as, you guessed it, N. Okay, so let me save that, and then we're done. Okay. Now that we have our 3 exposures taken out of 1 exposure, I'm going to go into a popular photography HDR processing software called Photomatix Pro. There's a bunch of them out there, but Photomatix is my favorite because the workflow seems to be pretty simple, which works for me. Alrighty. I'm going to load the bracketed images that I just did, and there's my A, and I'm holding down the command key, and there's my B, and there is my N. Alrighty. Okay. And they were about 2 stops, so sometimes you kind of have to help Photomatix. So there's the over, there's the on, there's the under, 2 stops on each. Okay. And we're going to, let me go through these. I don't click a lot of these, but I do ask it to align the source images and sometimes reduce ghosting and reduce noise. So, okay, we're going to pre-process. And what Photomatix is doing is combining all 3 images into one, and kind of it's keeping the best of every exposure and throwing out the the bad in every exposure. Okay, so here's our base image, and it's looking pretty good. Let me show you where this program is going to start, because I actually had some of these sliders moved. Okay, so this is the base image that you're going to get from Photomatix. Alright, this is a typical HDR. Now, if we want to take it one step further and go into that vivid look that I'm doing, and Lord knows why, I just don't think I have enough cones in my eyes. Maybe I don't receive enough color, but for some reason I like those. But anyway, let's turn the strength up to like almost 100%. And we're going to turn saturation up into something crazy like 87 here. And see how our boat starts to go kind of yellow and the water gets more blue. And then things like luminosity and micro contrast, I usually just kind of monkey with those until, you know, it just looks the way I want it to look. Because at this point we're making some artwork and we're kind of leaving the realm of photography as a documentary tool and getting into more of a, this is the way I want to look. Light smoothing, I usually go with maximum, and there's a bunch of other settings here, and you can play with those all you want, but since we're getting ready to go into Photoshop and do a bunch of work, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with these. Let's go ahead and process it. And this just takes a few minutes depending on the amount of RAM you have in your computer. Now, this is a processed image, but still unsaved. So we go up to File and Save As. And I'm going to save this as boats. Okay, and 16 bits. It can be 8 if you want, but I just save it in 15. Okay. Closing out of that, I'm going to go to Photoshop CS5, File, Open. There is my boats TIFF, and here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to draw this out here, and let me show you a few things. In the canvas, Photoshop will present you with this gray. It always makes me make images too dark because there's too much light around the circumference of the image. So I right click, put it on black, and now I feel like I have a better handle on the exposure of the image. Okay, let's just do a couple things here, and this one will be done. This is an easy one. It's not going to require a lot of Photoshop work. But I hit Command J, and you see I created 3 more layers. Actually, I created 2 more layers. And because I don't ever want to work on my base layer, because if I lose it, then I'm starting all over with Photomatix and doing all that stuff. So anyway, okay, I'm going to take the selection tool, and this is an interesting little tool. It gets smarter as you use it in each image. So right now it's guided by tone and contrast, and I'm going to isolate this water as best I can. Okay, and you see what we call these little marching ants all the way around? That's my isolation. If I hold the Option key down, I can reduce some of the areas that I selected, just so we don't have too much. Okie dokie. Now, Option C, Option V, and what I've done here is I've just isolated that area. Alright, let's do this. I'm going to play with the saturation and vibrance. I want the foreground even a little more